moving to the next tense, that is past perfect tense. The past perfect tense expresses an action in the past before another action in the past. This is a past in the past. For example, you had studied English before you moved to New York. Had you studied English before you moved to New York? You had not studied English before you moved to New York. The past perfect expresses the idea that something occurred before another action in the past. It can also show that something happened before a specific time in the past. I had never seen such a beautiful beach before I went to Thailand. Had never seen shows that you're going to have another part of the sentence with simple past tense. Now the word Thailand, in Urdu it is pronounced as Thailand. That's okay in Urdu, but in English it is Thailand. People from Thailand are called Thai people, not Thai people. In Urdu it's okay. Similarly, the words like Thompson and Thomas and Anthony, not Anthony Quinn, it is Anthony Quinn. Because while speaking English, we should know how to pronounce these things in English. One more example. Tony knew Islamabad so well because he had visited the city several times. Now, question form. Had Sana ever studied Chinese before she moved to China? She only understood the movie because she had read the book. Now the idea is something happened in the past and something happened even before that thing. It is like past in the past. A few more examples. Christine had never been to an opera before last night. We were not able to get a hotel room because we had not booked in advance. We use a past perfect to show that something started in the past and continued up until another action in the past. For example, we had that car for 10 years before it broke down. And here don't be confused because of had. First had is the helping verb and the second is the main verb. That simply means possessed. One more example. By the time Alex finished his studies, he had been in London for over 8 years. They felt bad about selling the house because they had owned it for more than 40 years. Unlike with the present perfect, it is possible to use specific time words or phrases with the past perfect. Although this is possible, it is usually not necessary. Usually we use past perfect tense to talk about an event which happened in the past. And before this event, there was another action that took place earlier. Now what you should do, you should have this idea that usually we should not use this past perfect tense in isolation. There has to be one more clause with simple past tense. I'll explain. The patient had died before the doctor came. Now look at this sentence. The patient had died. This is action 1. Before the doctor came, action 2. Now if I ask you which action took place first, you will say definitely the death of the patient. The patient died. This means the action that took place first took had plus third form. And the other one took simple past tense. I'll give you 2 to 3 more examples. Number 1. The train had left before my father reached the station. And the thief had run away before the police reached. Now action in the past before another action. This is the whole idea. Past perfect continuous tense. Look at the composition. Past perfect continuous. Formula. Subject, verb, object. And here the most complicated thing is the verb part. You have to use had plus been or been, and then the main verb in ing form, and then the object. It simply means it is in the past, time is past, perfect. There has to be have, has, or had, but since we are dealing with past, there should be only one option, that is had. Continuous. Interesting. How can we have and ing form together? It is simple. We have got had and the next verb is in ing form. But remember, since this is past perfect continuous, there has to be since or for. In Urdu, it is okay if you say it is raining since morning, or it was raining since morning. In English, it has to be systematically done. Past perfect continuous, it is in the past, and perfect simply means we have to use had. We can't use have or has because we're not talking about present time. Continuous simply means the verb is going to be in ing form, and when we use verb in ing form, we cannot use without using is, am, are, was, were. Therefore, in this tense, we have got been. Been is another shape, another form of be. The past perfect continuous is used for an action that began before a certain point in the past and continued up to that time. Or we use this tense to talk about longer actions or situations which had continued up to the past moment that we are thinking about. Example, you had been waiting there for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived. Look, this tense can't be used in Urdu in the same way. In Urdu, we use the same tense without since or for. For example, we say, बारिश हो रही थी, सुबह से बारिश हो रही थी, something like this. बारिश हो रही है, that is in present. But in English, if we say, this is raining since morning, or it was raining since morning, that is going to be wrong. If you say, it was raining since morning, it simply means you're confusing past continuous with past perfect continuous. You should say, it had been raining since morning. Next example, had you been waiting there for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived? This is basically the same sentence that we used earlier, but it is in the question form. We use a past perfect continuous to show that something started in the past and continued until another time in the past. They had been talking for over an hour before Tony arrived. She had been working at that company for 5 years when it went out of business. How long had you been waiting to get on the bus? Mike wanted to sit down because he had been standing all day at work. Getting the idea? Something going on for a long time, and then something happened which stopped this thing maybe. James had been teaching at the university for more than a year before he left for Asia. So what was the cause for his leaving the job? It was leaving for Asia. How long had you been studying Turkish before you moved to Ankara? I had not been studying Turkish very long. Using the past perfect continuous before another action in the past is a good way to show cause and effect. Examples, Jason was tired because he had been jogging. Sam gained weight because he had been overeating. Kamran failed the final test because he had not been attending the class. Now there is a question about using past continuous and past perfect continuous. If you do not include a duration such as for 5 minutes, for 2 weeks, or since Friday, many English speakers choose to use the past continuous rather than the past perfect continuous. Be careful because this can change the meaning of the sentence. Past continuous emphasizes interrupted actions, whereas perfect continuous emphasizes a duration of time before something in the past. Look at these 2 examples. He was tired because he was exercising so hard. This sentence emphasizes that he was tired because he was exercising at that exact moment. Second sentence, he was tired because he had been exercising so hard. This sentence emphasizes that he was tired because he had been exercising over a period of time. It is possible that he was still exercising at that moment or that he had just finished. So, dear learner, this is the whole idea about these tenses in the past. Sometimes you use these tenses all together in one composition, or while you're talking to somebody, you're narrating some event, you use past perfect tense, you use past perfect continuous tense, you use past simple tense, past continuous tense. But what is more important is simply developing the sense where we can use past continuous tense, where to use past perfect tense, all these things. And if you practice well, you keep on writing the things, you read newspapers, you listen to the news in English, you will develop all the sense. And hope this lecture is going to help you a lot in your studies and examination. Thank you very much, and that's all from my side. Goodbye and Allah Hafiz.